Today we're going to be seeing what it's like to travel by train in Japan. First, we'll test out the country's fastest train on a ride from the city of Sendai over to the city of Akita. Once in Akita, I'll be taking a little overnight break before hopping on one of Japan's slowest trains to continue my journey up to the city of Aomori. In Japan, the Shinkansen or bullet train is a pretty crazy experience, so let's see what it's like to take one. Looks pretty cool, right? Well, that's actually not my bullet train. Mine's not here quite yet. Just a few more minutes. First important thing about taking the bullet train, though, is that you've got to get there a little bit early and get in line. Oh, here it comes. I'm so excited. Wow, this bullet train's looking really full. Luckily, I've got a seat, though. First, you've got to let everybody off the train before you go on. And it's time to board. Looks like my seat is number, car 15, seat 14D. Plane, train, or really anywhere else in the country of Japan, it's amazing how fast boarding always goes. Oh nice, this is gonna be my seat. And the train is off 100% on time. The trains are almost always on time here in Japan, it's amazing. And we're off, zooming through the city of Sendai. Goodbye, Sendai. By the way, if you've never visited the city of Sendai, it might not be as well known as Tokyo or Osaka, but it really does have a lot to experience. Anyway, while other high-speed trains in other countries might take quite a while to hit full speed, the Shinkansen seem to take only a few minutes to get there. Oh my god, what an experience. Going super fast. I don't even know how fast because they don't have the speedometer on this one, but really fast. Through the Japanese urban area and going to the countryside. And tunnel! Plus the seat is like seriously comfortable. I wish airlines would have seats like this, really. I booked the absolute cheapest ticket, so this is like the worst seat you can get on the train. There's actually another class that's slightly nicer called the green class. But if you get bored with the nice countryside views, there is free Wi-Fi, and it seems to maybe work. I don't know if it works in the tunnels, but maybe not. Error opening page. That's okay. I'm into the views, not the Wi-Fi, to be honest. Well, books are nice too. That's a lot of table space here. So we zipped on across Japan for a while. But if you want to buy a coffee or something, there is a drink cart on the train, usually. Gomenasen. Gomenasen is good. Sumenasen. Coffee? One coffee milk. Arigato. 250. 250. Okay. Arigato. Arigato. Okay. And they do happen to have a few snacks too. So you can eat something small in the Shinkansen. But if you want like a real meal, you've got to get that in the station before or bring it from somewhere else. You can eat whatever you want on the Shinkansen, assuming it doesn't smell too bad. Maybe don't take any kimchi on here. And this coffee smells pretty good. Let's taste it. Well, it's definitely a step up from airplane coffee. And if you don't know about Japanese creamer, it's pretty crazy. Basically, they use some kind of rehydrated milk product, and then sometimes when there's not froth like there is on this coffee, it creates these strange looking little white spots in your black coffee. Actually, this coffee doesn't do that well. Don't forget to put the lid back on for safety's sake. Anyways, all the while there are these crazy views. And no matter the weather, the Shinkansen keeps going just as fast as it will go any other time. In fact, these high-speed trains are almost never delayed, and the average delay is only 20 seconds, which is definitely the best in the world. Basically, the only reason your train might have to slow down is if there's an earthquake, and there's actually an automatic earthquake detection system installed in each Shinkansen train that makes it break. But having a crazy bullet train experience doesn't really come that cheap. For this ticket for a 2-hour and 37-minute ride, I paid a little bit over $70 US. But you're just not getting your money's worth if you don't make full use of the facilities. Let's see what the bathroom looks like on this train. They actually have a men's urinal. Only for that. But there's the full-size bathroom over here. And this is pretty insane. Japan goes really next level with their toilets. I mean, it's one thing to have a clean bathroom on a train. That should be the case everywhere, but of course it's not. But in Japan, it's not just clean. The seat is also heated and comes with a bidet. When it comes to train bathrooms, Japan is way in the future. You could wash your hands here if you wanted. I guess that's what that's for. But there's actually a bigger sink with soap outside, so let's go see that. Soap, water, and drying. Plus, maybe, just maybe, you'd want to shave on the train or blow dry your hair. You can. And if you get lost on the train or you're just looking for a specific facility, there's actually a map. That is so useful. Every train should have that. But the ride can sometimes get a little bumpy when it's not that straight, so I guess I'll head back to my seat. What a view. That's how the train does start going in reverse. What was a forward seat turns into a backwards seat. But the internet finally seems to be working, so I'm gonna go online now. So make sure you're subscribed, give this video a like. Have you ever wondered what it's like to stay at a Crowne Plaza in Japan? Well, honestly, the thought had never entered my head until I needed to find a cheap place to stay here in the city of Akita. So here I am at a Crowne Plaza. I just checked in, and the rate was about 18,000 yen a night, which is a little bit over 100 US dollars. But let me tell you, this definitely puts any Crowne Plaza in your country to shame, unless you're from Japan. Now this is unusually spacious for a Japanese hotel room. And there's this little foyer that I walked into, so there's just a lot of space. For people of my size, some of the corners are a little bit tight, but the view makes up for any of that, I would say. Aye, but the window doesn't open, or does it? Okay, it's like a German window. It does the kippen, it kips, or tilts. But the view, it's pretty cool. And I booked this rate with breakfast. So that's 18,000 yen per night for 2 people with breakfast. So, 9,000 per person. Not bad. And then as far as amenities go, there's a giant Osprey backpack. Oh no, wait, that's mine. But there are some slippers. And let's see what's in here. Hair dryer. Oh, that's really nice. They've got gentle steam eye masks. The eye masks in Japan are awesome. And they're unisex. Anybody can use them. I'll definitely be using that gentle steam eye mask a little bit later. And when it's free, it's even better. But they are only like 100, 200, 300 yen at the store. So nice amenity, but not that expensive if they don't have it at the hotel that you're staying at. One for my wife too. And there is a nicely disguised refrigerator here. Makes sound, must be on. And also hidden 2 glasses, 2 coffee cups. And this is a really serious tea collection for Japan. Usually it's just like green tea or maybe some brown rice tea and green tea, but here they've got like at least 5 different types of tea for you to try out. And this is only a 3-star hotel in Japan, which isn't luxury or anything. And I always find it funny that in many hotels around the world, you will not find a safe where you might actually need a safe. But in Japan, they always have a giant hotel safe, but you just don't need to use it here. And like any good hotel room, there's a bathroom. But I need to wash my hands, so let's start by smelling the soap. It says that it's fig and feijoa. Is that like feijoada from Brazil or something? I don't know. Smells good. Ah, okay, it's with grapeseed extract and kiwi seed oil. Then there's your classic Japanese amenity kit. Razors probably aren't gonna do me much good with this beard, but it's nice that they always have Q-tips in Japan, even if it isn't single-use plastic, which isn't great. Body towels, these are actually super good. First time I visited Japan, I took a bunch of those free body towels home with me from some budget hotels, and I'm still using them. That's how good they are. So they're not for single use, that's for sure. Oh, and then they have bath powder. Here in Japan, there's like an ancient culture of taking baths in onsens. And in the modern world, people still like to go to onsens, but they also love to take baths at home. So that's definitely nicer than any Crowne Plaza I've seen anywhere else before. Even if, okay, the room might be slightly smaller than in some parts of the world, this will definitely do the job for one night. And any time is a good time for ramen. And over here in the city of Akita, apparently the most beloved ramen is made with soy sauce, aka shoyu ramen. It's a super thick broth. Tastes kind of like gravy, actually. Looks kind of like Thanksgiving over here. And I just got a medium. This is not a large-sized ramen, but there's like, I don't know, a pound of meat at least. And it's good too. Oishi. The noodles are like a little bit al dente, so like not medium cooked, but a little bit less. It's really nice that way. I've actually never eaten ramen where the noodles are this hard. And they give you extra onions if you like. So let's try it that way. I can see how that'd be nice. This needs some chili oil though too. No oil, just chili. Start with just a little bit of chili and see how it tastes with that. No, it's pretty mild, but that blends in nice. Almost like pepper rather than like a chili pepper. But it's always a pleasure to go to a new place like I am today and try a new type of ramen in Japan. Because literally everywhere you'll find a different type of ramen. In fact, every person making ramen is going to make it a little bit differently. That's the beauty of this dish. But my experience tells me that every single city in Japan has something pretty cool to offer. And the second I saw this lotus park, I guess you'd call it, I knew that there was something here too in Akita. And these lotus roots aren't really common where I live in Europe or where I'm from in the US. They do definitely have a similar feel to what you get with lily pads, except these grow like really tall and I don't know, it looks kind of like some kind of alien creature or something. Except they were here in Japan long before I was here. So I guess I'm the alien. Now from what I can gather, much of the reason that people would visit Akita is not for the city itself, but for Akita Prefecture, basically the surrounding areas, which are pretty big and pretty vast and have stuff like one of the world's oldest samurai streets and large populations of what just might be Japan's most beloved dog, the Akita dog, which has the same name as both the city and the prefecture. I simply won't have enough time here to venture outside of the city, but let's see if we can't find an Akita dog around here. It does turn out that there's a shrine right in the middle of the city. It's a pretty nice place to walk through. And this is the same park where that lotus flower walk-through thing was. It's like a really big park right in the middle of the city. It's like on Central Park level, it seems. The center of the park is kind of up this hill, but surrounding the center, there's a lot of cool stuff like this fountain. And I've spotted my first Akita dog. But heavy rain was in the forecast, and I was getting pretty hungry anyway. So with everyone around me making their way to somewhere indoors, I thought I'd head over to the local grocery store, which turned out to be conveniently timed with the daily sushi markdown, which usually happens somewhere around 6 or 7 p.m. Great sushi is so commonplace in Japan that you can even find it in pretty much any grocery store. But the next day, the rain just continued and continued. So with a few hours before my train, I headed up to the breakfast room. 10:41. And this breakfast buffet is like 10 times bigger than I expected. It's just like everything you could imagine in a Japanese breakfast over here. Ooh, salt grilled salmon. And the most important thing here is that in Japan, it's totally normal to eat ice cream for breakfast. But I don't know about you, I always like to start my day with coffee. So it's coffee time. But my God, look at what the coffee oils did to this machine. The bean does look like a little bit too dark. I don't know. Usually in Japan, you get a little bit lighter roasted coffee. They actually have really good coffee all over this country. But for me, that's not really it. But I missed it. I did just notice, however, that there's what seems like nitro iced coffee on tap. Let's see. Oh, that just went up my breakfast experience. This is definitely one of the more impressive buffets I've been to in Japan. Got some local noodles, soups, noodles, all different kinds of stuff in this rice bowl, including some local, I think, wood ear mushroom, crab dumplings, curry, and this local soup from Akita is very, very strange. I've never eaten anything quite like it, actually. There's this rice noodle thing. It's very, like chewy, and then there's chicken in it. There's a soy sauce flavor underneath everything. I mean, I feel like you just haven't had breakfast till you've had breakfast with ice cream at the end. Or even at the beginning. There's no rules. And my only regret with this breakfast buffet is that I didn't have time to eat an omelet. Because they're only open for 2 more minutes and then I've got to get out of here. So I'm just going to eat my ice cream now. And I've just checked out of my hotel over here in Akita. But unfortunately, as you can see, the weather did take a turn for the worse right after I left the park, which is just over there, last night. So there's not much else that I'll be able to do in this city, but the forecast does look like it's going to be a little bit less rain as I travel further up north. And unfortunately, or fortunately if you like rain, the reality of traveling here in Japan during the late summer in September can just mean rain will come, storms will come. In fact, I think we're lucky here because if you go a little bit over to China, South Korea, and North Korea, they're having some more serious typhoons right now. But Japanese cities are just extensively set up for the rain because it does happen to rain a lot here. It's also sunny a lot, so it's not all rainy and gloomy and gray. But anyway, I'm going over to the train station and we're just walking through a shopping mall, which is a very convenient way to get there and not get wet. And more covered area here. By the way, this is what the kind of entrance area to Akita station looks like. There's this very interesting building over there that I had a view of from my hotel. And then there's just a lot of businesses. It's kind of your typical medium or smaller sized Japanese city train station. Lots of businesses, usually pretty bustling even when it's raining. And modern, but maybe not the most beautiful place in the country. And although I kind of want to do some stuff outside in the next town I'll be visiting, and I'm singing the Rain, Rain, Go Away song in my head, it is kind of, I don't know, kind of cozy here with the rain as well. And it's going to be an almost 4-hour train ride for me today. I've got about 20 minutes before the train, so I'm going to see if I can't find something to eat. There's some bento boxes out here. They don't look that appealing to me today, I just don't know. Let's see in this convenience store. Didn't find anything inside either, but strangely, this is a very weird business model, by the way. It's the exact same convenience store right across. So maybe they'll have something nicer to eat. And they have this cool local section, by the way. There's the Akita Hata Hata Pie. I don't know what these things are called, but they have these giant statues that look basically like that. And they've made some kind of food that's resembling the statues. But they're outside of the city, and it's raining so hard that I won't even get to see them. And then some other local stuff. But I actually wasn't looking for local stuff. I was looking for all this. Much better than the last store. Despite being the same chain. Cardo. And I got a few goodies from the store, so it's time to head down to the train tracks with my ticket in hand. And there's been some massive flooding right near where I am right now in Japan. And I almost had decided to change my plans and go to where the flood zone now is, without realizing, of course, that it would become a flood zone. But I'm going to go north instead. The flood zone is south. Luckily, I didn't decide to go there because the flooding has led to some cancellations, and that could be worse as a result as well. But here I am. My train's already here. It's just a local train, and I'm really quite early going to the train here right now. Train departs still in like 15 minutes, but there's already quite a lot of people in it. Luckily in the last car there's a lot less people. When you open the door you're supposed to close it afterwards. But there's certainly some charm to these local trains. They're old, they're cute. And this one is very, very foggy on the windows today. And this train ride is actually almost enjoyable, except it's so bumpy that it's like making me a little bit nauseous. I was trying to do some editing on my computer, but forget that. But somehow my train car is now empty, so it's just like all to myself. And this is the perfect moment to observe how ridiculously clean every single thing in Japan is, because this is like, I guess you could call it the budget train. It's the local train. So sometimes people just use it because they're going a very short distance and it's the only one going on that route. That's dirt in Japan. But this train is just, it's sparkling clean. This car was basically full of people earlier, and now it's just me and my wife over there. Japan really is, it's not living in the future nor living in the past. They just have a huge respect for public spaces, and you really don't see it like this almost anywhere else in the world. But I'd say for sure one big reason that every public space is clean, and that things like trains and buses and whatever are just like always running perfectly on time, very smoothly, is because people really commit to two things here in Japan. First off, people often keep a job with just one company for their entire life. Like they only work for one company for 40 years and then retire. So they're like really committed to that company. A great example of that is Japan Railways, or JR. The train I'm riding on right now, the people working for this, they might spend their whole lives working for the train company. And then the second reason is because in Japan, there's a kind of public awareness or mentality of the effect of what you do on others. Basically, any little thing like crossing the light on red or leaving some trash on the ground in the train, or actually if there are other people even just talking loud on the train, has a consequence on those around you, which everybody knows. But the thing is, in other societies around the world, People often just don't care, or maybe don't even really think about it that much. But Japan, however, does think about it that much. Basically, doing something that's harmful to others in Japan is seen as very similar to doing something that's harmful to yourself. So basically, people try to avoid it. But two things are nearly for sure no matter which train in Japan you're riding. First, the train car is going to be sparkling clean. And second, your train is going to depart and arrive and make all stops perfectly on time. But there is one third and interesting fact about riding trains in Japan. Usually there's little or no snacks for sale on a train in Japan, but you can eat on trains in Japan, and every single train station has some kind of nice convenience store or other shop where you can get snacks, full meals, drinks, and whatever else you can imagine usually. I've got this nice little fish, so let's taste it out on this train. But before we open it up, do remember, in Japan there are no trash cans anywhere. So what you've got to remember to do if you're a gaijin like me is to take your plastic waste or whatever kind of waste you have, and to be honest, there is quite a lot of waste in Japan, take it with you till the end of the day, and usually at your hotel they'll have some place where you can throw it away. But I do have a very important question for you. Have you ever taken a bite into a fish like this? They're delicious. Wow, cool! I've made it to a new Japanese city that I've never been to, that I never even thought of going to more than like a week ago. But here I am. If I can get out of the station, then we'll see what's here.